et messieurs, ladies and gentlemen, set to make her ring walk, faisant son entrée vers le ring. Elle est invaincue, elle a un jab d'enfer et une vraie passion pour la boxe féminine. She is undefeated, she has a tremendous jab and a true passion for women's boxing. Veuillez accueillir la terreur rimouskoise. Let's welcome the terror of Rimouski, Marie-Ève Albert!
I am with Mikenna Tansley today. I'm so happy to have you with me. How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I am very fine. I'm good. It's summer now. I feel better. We are both Canadian, so summer is something special usually.
It is, yeah.
I invited, you fought not long time ago on June 17th against the IBO world champion, Melissa Oddessa Parker, La Bella Bestia. You had both perfect records of 5-0 at that time. So one was about to lose. She kept her title, but in a very, very, very close fight, an exciting fight. And I wanted to talk to you about it because I think maybe some people knew you before, but now they really know you because they saw something. They saw you against such a good opponent with a good reputation. And it was very, very close. And you could showcase a lot of, your set of skills in a very good way. So I would like to talk to you about that fight. You told me after your fight, I need time to think about it, to see what was good, what was not good, And you came to me last week and you told me, I'm ready. I think I'm ready. I think I'm done with this. So I can discuss about it.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about that fight. How was it for you? They offered you the fight. When they offered you the fight, first of all?
We got offered it about 6 weeks before the fight. So we had a lot of time to prepare for it, which was great. It was a big decision for us to make, obviously. It was a huge step up. And it's tough. I mean, boxing as much as anybody, putting a loss on your record is really hard because people, that Mayweather era, that's huge for boxing right now, right? Yes. So, and a lot of times I think you see people stray away from the tough fights, especially early in their career because they're worried about that. But we thought, this is everything we've been fighting for. There was a title on the line. This is what we wanted to get to. So, we have enough time to train for it. And are we ready to take that step? And I think that, we did step up and show exactly what we wanted to, which is, I have a lot of talent. I can go against the top girls. I think we can make it to the top. But to your point, it was still hard for me because I think I'm not good at losing, right? I'm not good at accepting loss. So no matter how good I perform, no matter what people are saying, you still have to deal with that loss, right? So
yes, but still, it was close.
It was very close, yeah.
It was very close. And a lot of people realize, earlier today, I was on Twitter trying to see the comments about that fight, searching for this and on internet. And I found a lot of comments saying, I didn't know she just started boxing 6 years ago. You're 30 years old. Yeah. You started at 24. Yeah. This is not common. I mean, we see this, but not with that kind of curve, you know. And your skill, it doesn't show that you started 6 years ago, that you had, you had very, very short, small amateur career. I mean, you don't have a lot of experience as an amateur neither.
No, I did 3 years in the amateurs. And then, I fought some very tough girls in the amateurs, but it's not like I had a ton of experience. Like I fought Amanda Galley and I fought some girls from the US and Poland. So I did have some big fights and I still got that, but we definitely didn't have a short time there. And we've had an even shorter time in the pros because even part of my pro career has been COVID. So you haven't been fighting, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was completely stopped in Canada, at least. And it was
Exactly.
very difficult for women, especially to get fights
100%.
when you were in the US or Canada.
Yeah.
If you were British, no problem. They were fighting a lot. But for us here, it was complicated. And it postponed a lot of things. But at the same time, because it stopped so long, a lot of girls and boys too, athletes, took time to work hard in the gym, improved all the little flaws they could have had, improve their shape in general. And sometimes we had in mind a certain kind of boxer before COVID, and we discover someone else, after. And, I think for you, it was good as well. You prepared a lot during COVID because we saw a big difference before and after. You came back with your fight against Barnett for a Canadian championship title in the US after 18 months of inactivity. Was first 8-rounder for you. And we saw that you were way better than 2 years before, 1 year and a half before.
Totally.
How did you work during COVID?
Part of it was, I was at my parents' house, so we set up a little boxing gym in the garage, and I did some stuff with my brother throughout that. And then after that, once things were open up enough, it was a lot of one-on-one time with my coach, which I think allowed you to have a lot of that kind of extra growth spurt and stuff. And we were fortunate enough to get that opportunity with Barnett through COVID. And, we had to go down to the US because, like you said, there was no boxing in Canada. And especially in Edmonton, we haven't even had a pro card in Edmonton since COVID hit, right? So we're even less than the East Coast is. So it was really just a lot of training, a lot of one-on-one time, and just making sure that you want to stay focused in it, right?
Yeah, and work a lot on the fitness side.
Exactly.
A lot of girls I talked to told me the same, that fitness was so important because that was the only possibility. Improving the fitness, repeating and repeating and repeating endlessly combinations and things like that as well. Against Oddessa Parker. Okay, Oddessa Parker has a reputation of being a tough cookie. Okay, she eats hard. She is good in many sports, not only in boxing. She does MMA. She does martial arts. She is such an athlete, and she's hungry as well, and she's often underestimated. So you came and how did you prepare to face her? Did you have a specific strategy for that kind of boxer?
I think the biggest thing was not underestimating her. I knew that it was going to be a really tough fight. I was the one stepping up to 10 rounds. She had already gone 10 rounds. So a lot of it went into that. And having, knowing that she was going to be a heavy puncher. So really focusing on trying to get that head out of the line, and also a southpaw. So, you were starting to change up a little bit of the style and where the shots were going to be coming from. So I think the biggest thing was just making sure that we went in there. One, the conditioning had to be 100% because she wasn't going to let you just take a round off.
No.
That was going to be an option, right?
That's not her style.
No. There was going to be no time off. And really just focusing on moving the head, not taking those big shots, and then kind of countering when you had the opportunities to do so.
Yes, and well, it succeeded. You couldn't get the win. If you see your performance, and what do you think you did great? What you did okay, and what was not exactly on point for you?
Yeah, so I think moving, I definitely did great. I think I definitely did get out of the way. I think what I did okay was finding those moments to land the shots and landing some big shots. And I think what I could have worked on was following those up a little bit more. So, you know, after I'd landed a couple more, not just letting her off, like pushing the pressure a little bit more. I definitely could have done a bit more. And I think it maybe would have swayed the other way.
That's interesting. That's interesting. You still have time to work on that, by the way.
Exactly.
You know, for women, for women, it's very different if we compare with male boxers. One loss, I know losing is not nice. You told me I'm not a good loser. I don't like to lose and things like. It's normal. You are a professional athlete, high level athlete, and even me, I'm not an athlete at all, and I don't like to lose. But if we are logical, you will have other shots for titles, because in women's boxing you have less athletes and there is less ducking as well.
Yeah.
It's so, you know, you can lose and 1 year after you can be online for another title.
Exactly.
So you have time. You if you know exactly what went wrong, at least you can work on it, and maybe next year we'll hear about you when you will have a title shot against, I don't know, Benny Bridges or a rematch against Oddessa Parker, because it was a close one. Okay, people, like, as I said, people were so surprised to catch that you were only a 6-year-old boxer. I mean, in the boxing universe, because it didn't show. Your style is complicated to explain, I think, because you're so clever at many things. I think you're very adaptable. I think you can box on the inside, on the outside. How can you describe yourself, actually? Because I was like, how can I find words to describe this style? You have such a skill set, you know. Who are you as a boxer?
It's funny that you say that, because that's how I've described myself as a boxer, as being adaptable.
You're so adaptable, because no fight of you is the same.
Yeah.
I mean,
and we train very different. I mean, even if you take when I fought Shelly Barnett, we knew that she was going to push forward and be the aggressor. So that entire fight camp, we trained with me fighting off my back foot and fighting orthodox. And then my next fight after that, when I fought Danielle Bennett, she was going to be a runner and a southpaw. So I trained pushing forward and fighting southpaw the whole time. So, you know, like, we've taken fight camp to fight camp. We've completely changed my style sometimes, right? So I think one of the greatest things that my coach ever said to me was, you know, you don't need to be Lomachenko. You don't need to be Mayweather. No. You don't need to be one exact person. Just be your own version of it. So I think what I really try to do is take all the different things that I like, all these different styles, and mix it into my own version of my own style.
Yes, exactly. And like, it's very clever from your coach to keep that mindset, to teach you that mindset as well, because, like, how can we have just one style anyway nowadays when you face so many different opponents?
Yeah.
And I think it's very old school to say you have to find words to describe your style 100%. It's very old school. Okay, people will throw tomatoes to me probably, but like, that's the way. I think modern boxing is more like this. If you don't adapt it, like, now there's not only one way to teach boxing and to learn boxing.
Exactly.
We were a goaltender before that, and so you switch from being a goaltender, hockey goalie, to a boxer at a certain point, and that's so interesting. It's so different at the same time, and still very high level sports. Being a goalie. Okay, what could you take from that experience and transfer into your boxing life, and what was totally new for you and what had nothing to do with your hockey life?
So I think some things that translated well for me were, one, there's a lot of pressure as a goalie, because if they score, it kind of looks like it's on you and stuff, right? So that whole pressure, and even though boxing's like an individual sport, you still kind of got a little bit of that from hockey being a goalie. So pulling that over, and then funny enough, when I started playing goalie, I had my hands, like I held the blocker and glove in the opposite hand that's usual. And then 4 years in, my dad said, no, you have to switch and start going the other way. So I had to learn to play goalie with my hands the other way. So I think that really translated into me being boxing, because sometimes I fight orthodox and sometimes I fight southpaw. So I think
you're a switcher.
Exactly. So I think that really helped me be able to kind of have that dual mindset in it. And then, I mean, getting punched is something that's totally different than hockey. That's something that's only boxing. And honestly, the cardio in boxing is absolutely insane. Like, I remember my first amateur fight, and I went back to the corner after the first round, and I was like, that was the whole fight, right? Like, I can't go back out there.
The head movement as well as a goaltender. You have the head movement as a goaltender. You need to be always moving and checking the game. So this could transfer as well into boxing, because that's mainly the same. You have to follow what's happening. You have to watch what's happening.
Yeah, so I think that like depth of field and stuff, like you really work that playing hockey. So I think that definitely probably helped a lot too.
Yeah, and do you think the fact that you were already an athlete, a high-level athlete, because you were goaltender, but 3A, you were like, you were not like just playing in the streets like many Canadian kids. You were a high-level goaltender, goalie. Do you think like this helped a lot for you to adapt fast into another sport?
I think it did, and especially like knowing the level of training, right? So like I played AAA hockey, but then I also, you know, was a goalie. So my dad would take me to goalie training on the outside. So even if I wasn't at practice, like we practiced and played pretty much every day, and I was still doing extra stuff on the side. And I think all of that dedication is what taught me like how much you actually have to put into a sport if you want to compete at the high level.
That's interesting. Before the pandemic, the plan for you was to fight very often. You had 3 fights before the pandemic, but the plan was to fight 5, 6, 7 times a year in order to catch, you know, a curve, you know, and build a record. But it couldn't happen, of course. Everyone had to stop. Now you came back, but you came back with different kind of opponents, and suddenly you got shots at titles, the Canadian titles, the IBO titles. You're fighting 8 rounds, 10 rounds now. You came from, you know, you totally passed the 6th round. You came from 4 rounds to 8 and 10 almost. And so now that you got this title shot against Oddessa Parker, you lost. What is the plan? Are you still interested in fighting very often to get a record build, or you want to pick and choose, you know, stronger opponents, the same kind like Oddessa Parker, like a top 20 opponents, even if it allows you to fight less a little bit? Do you have a strategy or not yet?
I think, you know, it's funny because we've got both options kind of that we're looking through right now. I don't think we've officially decided. We're still kind of having those conversations. A lot of times I trust those decisions to be made by my coach and my team as well. I think that they've done this before. They know what they're doing, and they know what I trust that they'll make the next right move for me. But, you know, like you say, I've only been in it for 6 years, and I've got to where I am. And I did that because I was very aggressive and I took the big fights. I didn't shy away from them. So I think if big fights come on the table, it would be really hard for me to say no to them, because that's really what I've always strived for. I want to be a world champion. I want to be ranked in the top. So, and
also because you did well. Losing or winning, you did well. It was so close. 2 of the judges gave 94-96. I mean, it was so close. I had a draw. So when you succeed in front of important opponents, well-renowned opponents, it gives you the guts to continue a little bit on that path as well.
And then you've been through it too, right? So like now I know what a 10-round fight feels like. I know what that pressure for fighting for a world title feels like. So I think you go into the next one, and if you felt like you could have done 15% more, now you know where that capacity is, and you put that 15 extra in. So
you're from Edmonton. How is boxing in Alberta for women's? for women mainly, because you know you grew up probably having Yelena Emerjanovic in your backyard. She lives in Edmonton. She has been a huge star. She's still a huge star. World champion, former world champion. I mean, how is it right now for women? You know, Yelena is older. She's not active since last year. I know you train with Vanessa Bradford as well, right? I know in Alberta you had Brie Alling at a certain point who made her pro debut. She's inactive for now, but probably gonna get some fights short term. Do you feel there is a hype for boxing or not yet in Alberta for women's boxing and for boxing in general?
I think it's definitely coming up. I think it's hard because in all of Alberta, we haven't had a pro fight card since COVID. So I think that's been tough for us. But I mean, if you see what came out of COVID overall is people really got into boxing, you know, I think it's at the forefront that it's been in years. And I think women's boxing in general is the same way. Yeah. It was great having Jelena, you know, be in it. And that's such a huge influence. I got to turn pro on one of her world title defenses. So that was really cool. I mean, we sparred for my first 2 pro camps and that was great experience. Like you say, there's a lot of females. And I think not just in Alberta, in Canada overall, you're seeing a lot of females at the pro level start to make really big names for themselves, and it's awesome. Like
I think women's boxing in Canada goes better right now than men's boxing.
Totally.
Here in Quebec, we have a hype for sure because we have Kim Clavel.
Exactly.
We have Marie-Ève Dicker who's champion.
Yeah.
We just got Tamara Thibault, who went to the IBA World Championship as an amateur and got the gold. Came back with the gold. And we also have women like from Ontario, like Jessica Camara and Mary Spencer. They came to Montreal to train. They settled in Montreal. So the hype is real. The hype is real. And of course that's sad that there's no boxing cards in Alberta anymore. I hope it's going to change short term.
I think it's going to. Like, I think we're starting to allow the approval process to go through. So hopefully you'll see it, which would be really nice. I mean, I'd love to fight at home again. I think that'd be awesome. But
you've fought a lot in the States lately since COVID.
Which is great. Like, you're expanding your following and there's some really huge opportunities down there. But I would definitely love the opportunity to fight at home again.
Yes, of course. I can understand that. Your division, you fight as a bantamweight. This is a very strong division right now. You're in top 20. On Boxrec, you're in the top 20. Yeah. After 6 years only. I continue to mention it because it's impressive. It has changed so fast, you know, in the top of the division, the weight division. You know, belts are changing, are passing from one owner to another one. We have now Ebony Bridges, you know, who got, you know, she lost against Shannon Courtney, but she won against Cecilia Roman. Jamie Mitchell took the belt from Shannon Courtney, and then you have 2 very stable values there in Julian Luna and Dina Torslund. What do you need to be able to get a chance to face one of them? You're 16th on Boxrec right now. What do you think? What do you think is the best path for you to access maybe the top 10?
You know, I think probably just a couple more wins is what we need to kind of get that and break through it. And just keep showcasing the talent that I have. You know, I think, like you said, people maybe knew me before, but now I think, you know, the people that know me is a lot more than what it was. And I think just keep working at it. The opportunities are going to come. And if we get a couple more wins and, you know, then we're way up there and we just keep climbing the rankings. And I think that's how you kind of do it.
Yeah, from if we see like the 4 girls, Ebony, Julian, Dina, and Jamie, okay, the 4 belt owners, who do you think is the strongest one right now? Who do you think is the queen of the division? Doesn't mean she cannot be beaten.
Yeah.
But like, Who is the top one in your opinion?
That's tough to say. I think Jamie Mitchell's going to be a really tough fighter. I think that she brings a lot to it, even though she doesn't have a ton of fights as well. I think she's got some toughness that you saw in her against Shannon. But I think all of them. And I think what's kind of cool is it's happening in women's boxing, but it's happening in men's boxing too. Is there's so many talented fighters out there. I mean, even just look at the men's lightweight division. You've had all 4 belts change hands in 4 fights straight, right? So
we have more undisputed fighters than before, you know, so many suddenly. Eh?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yes, I agree. You're right. I think Mitchell is a tough cookie, and she's underestimated as well from many, because, you know, like we saw her against Shannon. Shannon was like underestimated as well. So she took the belt from Shannon. So we still have, you know, this way of thinking that maybe Mitchell is not as strong as the other ones, but it's not true. It's not true. I think she's very strong. She's very aggressive. She's very focused, and she has a lot of resilience. She has a past that makes her better boxer, I think.
Yeah, totally.
So maybe you like Jamie. You like Jamie's style. That's is there a boxer? It doesn't matter what weight category, active or inactive. Is there a boxer, male or female, that you really like to watch and that you try to learn from right now?
I think there's tons in both categories, right? And that kind of goes back to what I said before. You know, I like to take the best of everybody's style and try to mix it together. So, I mean, Lomachenko, I think, is what he does, you can't even match. Same with what Mayweather did, right? So
Lomachenko has some magic.
Yeah, exactly. But then we look at somebody like Terence Crawford, and, you know, I've seen him completely change his styles in fights as well. I've watched him fight southpaw. I've watched him fight orthodox. And then even, you know, the females, looking at people like Sinicia Estrada, she's got a very unique style that I think is really awesome.
Terence Crawford is like you a bit. He has a lot of a huge skill set.
Yeah.
He is so versatile.
Yeah. She actually is who, like, I saw switch first, and that was when I was like, oh, I want to try fight both ways.
Because you're a switcher as well, like him. Switch stance, and you know, he has power when it's time. He can box. He can put pressure. He has a good defense. He moves well, and that's everything we see from you as well. Even if you're still learning, I guess we are all learning every day in that kind of sport. It's endless. Who's the best P4P in the world for female in women's boxing right now? The best one, the number one. It's a difficult question, but there is one. We have to choose one.
We have to choose one. Okay. I mean, Katie Taylor probably still has to be up there for me for it.
Katie, why do you like her?
I just, you know, her style's just, she's done so much, and I think she's so resilient. And I think even though Serrano brought out a really tough fight, I don't know, I could have called that one either way. I thought that was an incredible fight. But yeah, there's something about her style. She's got power, and she's just so classy and graceful in there too, right? Like everything that she's done it in such a classy way, and that's what I like.
That's a lot of people say this from her, you know. She's talented, no doubt. You know, she's an Olympic gold medalist. She's an undisputed champion. She just won the biggest fight ever against Amanda Serrano. But a lot of people, they consider as well the personality, her attitude, her personality, you know, and being a champ outside the ring seems to be important as well sometimes.
Yeah. It's something I really admire, and just like, you know, like I say, it's always been classy, and it's always just been hard work. That's what, to me, her brand is working hard and just not letting it get to her head, and just going out there and trying as hard as she can.
You have a busy life because you work full time as well. You train and you work full time. What is a schedule for you usually? How does it look like?
It honestly varies from day to day, but usually my days start around 6:30, 7 a.m. I like to work in the morning typically first. I get a lot done, kind of really productive before I start having meetings and phone calls. And then I typically do a training mid-morning, work for the rest of the day. Then I train again. Typically there's maybe 1 to 2 hours of work for me to do when I get back home, and then go to
You're a web designer. That's it?
I'm a creative director.
Creative director.
Yeah. So, I mean, we do web design. We do the full suite of everything. But yeah, right now I do a lot more overseeing of a team and kind of the client interaction. A little bit less of the design work, but I definitely started in the design world, yeah.
At work, are they easy to accommodate you on fight weeks?
Oh, 100%. They're incredible. It's awesome. Yeah, they're so supportive. So it makes it easy. I don't know how you can do it without it. So
you can manage your schedule a little bit, in order to do you have a weight cut, or do you have to cut weight more, or you don't? Some they like, some they don't.
Yeah, I cut a little bit, but like 3 to 4 pounds. I diet down typically, and then I've got a small weight cut. It's nothing too dramatic.
So you fight almost at your natural weight?
No, like I'd say I walk around at about 126, 127. Is what like my average, and then I typically diet down to around 122-ish and 121, 122, and then just cut the rest.
Okay. So you diet first, then you cut around 4 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it difficult when you work, when you are busy to do a weight cut? How do you proceed when you have obligations? Let's say that.
Meal prep is what I've learned is one of the biggest things that you can do, because there's nothing worse than you've just had a 12-hour day to come home and be like, oh, I still have to cook myself a healthy dinner. So yeah, meal prep has been one of the biggest ways that I've been able to kind of maintain everything. And it takes kind of all that time that you would spend cooking those meals away from my work days, right? So
do you still prepare your meals with your mom?
Yeah, I do.
I read that this morning. I was laughing. You have a routine with your mom. You prepare you do the meal prep together.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, she's awesome. She definitely helps me find new recipes that are fun and keep the food good.
That's very helpful when you're busy. If someone helps you to cook, at least that's this, because it can be a very time consuming otherwise, especially because that's important.
It's so important. Honestly, it is. And it's been nice. Like I've got my strength and conditioning team, and they work with me a lot on the nutrition side of it too. So sometimes we'll play with different things when I'm outside of camp, like what does it look like if I add in some extra carbs and maybe reduce some protein, and how does that make me feel? So I think now this last fight camp is the best balance I've ever really had.
You are very well surrounded, and you have a special relationship with your coach, John, right? He is very open-minded about women's boxing, which is not the case for all coaches in Canada and around the world. Some coaches don't want to train women. He is different. Talk to me a little bit about how he is. How is it in the gym? What kind of relationship you have with him? The confidence.
Yeah, I mean, he's incredible, and it's such a personal connection. It's almost like you guys are family, and he does it with everybody. I mean, he opens the gym, and anybody's welcome in that gym, and it's meant to be a place that feels like home, right? But like you say, I mean, he's always like, he put his daughter in boxing. I'm pretty sure she was the first amateur boxer that was ever registered in Alberta, way back in the time and stuff. So, I mean, he's always had an open minded, and you've seen him train a lot of females that have gone places. I mean, he's trained Vanessa Bradford, who's got some incredible opportunities. And
Vanessa Bradford faced Michaela Mayer, Alicia Baumgartner, Tiara Brown. She has a record.
She does. And and that's the thing is, like, I mean, that's part of the influence too. You've watched her never stray away from taking one of those big fights. She's always gotten in there and fought hard.
Yes, and she can teach you, she can give you some tips. She can teach you things as well. When you started, you were with her in the gym as well as an amateur when you started.
Yeah, she's been there the whole time.
Did you spar with her?
Oh yeah, yeah, we spar lots.
She's the one who taught you how to get the punch.
Move your head out of the way is what she taught me. Yeah, she taught me that those big punches are coming.
Yeah, if you don't move your head,
Yeah,
you're done. And that's one of the keys. The keys in
she's
boxing.
got some good power.
So in the gym, yeah, with Vanessa, with John. Is John also your manager, or do you have a manager, or you're just
No,
you just do it by yourself?
Yeah, no. So it's just me and John, and then our matchmaker Jeff Henwood. So
okay, but no promoter.
No, not right now.
Not right now. Would you be interested in having one? Because some boxers they don't want, and some are very, very open-minded about it.
Yeah, I think if it was the right opportunity, I think that, it just needs to make sense and it needs to align. I don't want to limit myself in any ways right now. It's been okay without having one. So I guess just kind of see where the opportunities take you. But I mean, if someone like Matchrooms calls, it's not like I'm going to say no, right?
No, exactly. Someone, yeah, if Matchroom comes to you,
yeah.
Why would you say no?
Exactly.
Except if the offers are not good, because sometimes also some promoters they abuse. I'm not talking about Matchroom, but like in general, promoter doesn't mean it's good all the time. So you're right. You have to be clever and choose wisely your opportunities and say no if you don't need what someone offers you.
And I mean, the good thing is, like, because I've got the career on the side, I have a really good business sense and I have a lot of really good people that read through contracts with me and make sure that I'm not getting into a bad deal.
Yeah, you're surrounded.
Exactly.
You're surrounded with a strong team, so you're not alone in that. And also, because you have a career aside, you're less desperate than others. Because when you only have boxing, and like you work, you don't have a one single place to work at. You work 2, 3, 5 jobs and you train, because I know boxers like this. It's way more difficult to say no to opportunities.
It is.
But you have a successful career right now that you like, that you love at the same time. So we can say that you have 2 careers. You have a sporting high level sport career and your career you studied for at university. I don't but the schedule must be very complicated anyways. For everyone, if you had the opportunity to stop working and just do full-time boxing for 1 or 2 years, would you do that, or you wouldn't sacrifice your other career?
I don't think I would. I really love my career. There's a lot of times when, I have days where it's minimal sleep and it's a lot of extra work for me to get everything done. But I just think that I've worked so hard to have both avenues in my life, and I really do love both opportunities. So I just think that as tough as it is, just kind of push through it. And I've got a work environment that allows me to offload when I need to offload and have the time available when I need it.
Okay, we'll ask you a couple of questions and you have to answer.
Okay.
You have to choose. No choice. No other option. Meyer or Baumgartner?
Draw.
You have to choose. No, but I haven't. You can switch after. Like, but if the fight comes tomorrow.
That I honestly don't know on that one. I could see it being a draw. Honestly, it's a tough fight.
I switch every day. Sometimes I say Meyer, sometimes I say Baumgartner. Today I feel for Meyer.
Do you?
Yeah, today I woke up today and I was like, Meyer will beat Baumgartner, but yesterday was not the case. So it really depends. Sometimes I watch on Twitter, I check on Twitter and I see the tweets and I'm like, oh, this one is more focused. That's gonna be the one. Oh no, this one. Oh, she's too confident. That's gonna be the one. You see videos.
I think it's gonna be honestly, I'm so excited for that fight.
It's a big fight.
That's gonna be incredible. Yeah.
Yes. Savannah Marshall or Clarissa Shields then?
Oh.
I said Clarissa.
Yeah, I have to. Yeah, she's too good. Honestly, and I think even I think I have to go Shields on that one.
I said Clarissa from the beginning. Not that I don't like Savannah. Savannah is great as well. Such a power puncher. She's clever, but I think Clarissa has a baggage of knowledge in boxing. She's fast. She's difficult to knock out. She has skills.
And I think with Clarissa, like, especially even now, now that it's a 10-round fight when they're fighting each other, even if maybe the first couple rounds didn't start her way, she's got that dig deep thing inside of herself that will allow her to pull through.
Yeah, she has the experience. She fought a lot of, a lot of people, they say she doesn't have power in her punches, but I disagree. I think she's always at 10 seconds to knock out someone. And because of the 2-minute rounds, there's a lack. This extra minute would be good for her. She would have knockouts with the 3-minute rounds, I think.
Yeah,
that's my opinion. Would you like 3-minute rounds or not really? Because you have different opinions about them.
No, I'd like them. Honestly, I think exactly what you're saying is that's why you don't see as many knockouts in women's boxing, because we don't have that extra time, that extra minutes where a little bit of fatigue maybe starts to weigh in for some people, and that's where those knockouts come from.
Yeah, and exactly. And often you have to rush to push your strategy instead of taking 30 more seconds to establish yourself into your fight.
And I think if you look at it, typically around that 2-minute mark is where like the round's getting really awesome. And I think if we add that extra minute, it's, it takes that little bit when you get into a round to get back into it. And then, all of a sudden it's done.
Last fight from Shields, that was a bit the case. She was at that to knock out Makozin. She was so close to do it. And if we see a lot of her fights, and she's not the only one, but I take her as an example because, I saw she hits, you see that she hits hard.
Yeah.
She hits hard, but like she's not like a single puncher like Savannah who can just like throw the bomb and kill you there. It's very complicated. So I would love the same for here in Quebec, Kim Clavel. We have Kim Clavel, who is, she's a little bit like Melissa Parker. She has a lot of energy, and she never give you one round.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, she cannot just finish the work because she needs 20 seconds more.
Yeah.
Some things like that. Regardless of the weight category, okay, if you had the chance to choose any fighter for a sparring session, who would you choose and why? Like a gift, okay? You can choose anyone from anywhere, male, female. You have a full sparring session with that person.
Yeah, probably Michaela Mayer, I'd say. I think she'd be awesome. And I think that, she's got a lot of experience. She's got a lot of years in it. She's fought a lot of different people. I think that should be a good person to learn from.
Yes, she can, of course, the experience she has, the baggage of experience she has is always beneficial, especially because she had also a huge amateur career. We see often the background, the pro career, but the amateur background is interesting as well.
Totally.
Do you think people, they have like, because we hear often coaches and journalists saying, when you don't have an amateur background or big amateur background, you lack you lack of experience will cost you at a certain point, and blah blah blah. I'm sure you've heard that before. She didn't fight that much as an amateur. What would you answer to these people? Or what do you think about this? Because it could be true, but it could be false as well.
Tyson Fury, I'm pretty sure, only had 12 amateur fights and he's made it. So I think it's going to be okay. Honestly,
a lot of Mexican fighters as well. A lot of Mexican fighters, because sometimes it was not possible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that having amateur experience would be incredible. I see where it is a huge asset. I see having that walking into fights being great. So I think that, if you don't have that, you have to put the extra in the gym. You have to know that every day needs to be important. Every day needs to matter. And if you do that, I think that you can offset not having that huge background.
Yeah, and anyways, being a great amateur doesn't guarantee you're going to be a great pro.
No, it's a completely different style. It's a completely different reffing system. Everything's really different. So
it's different, and sometimes it's not, you know, people, now that you can go to the Olympics again, even if you're a pro, some people are in between two styles. Exactly. They are in between two boxing styles, two kind of boxing, not two styles, but two kind of boxing, and they cannot adapt to the pro because they still are 1 foot in the amateur world, you know.
You even see some people who are just in the pro world, though, and you know, some of those habits that they picked up in the amateurs, they're pulling into the pros that like maybe will be dangerous for them one day in the pros too. So I'm not saying there's any right or wrong way to do it. I think that it's a tougher path if you don't have a big amateur background in the pros, because you don't have that to lean on. You don't get as many big opportunities as early in your career. So you have to kind of take a different way.
And also, you talking about you precisely, you were an athlete before.
Exactly.
Even if you were not an amateur boxer and so on, you were an athlete before. So you know about stress, about competition, about physical strength, physical shape. You know, it's not like you started, I'm gonna start boxing for fun. I was not an athlete. Oh, let's turn pro with no background, and you know, no idea of what pressure is. I think it helps a lot as well. Thank you so much. It was so nice to have you. I wish you to have all the fights you want for what remains of this year. If it's 5 fights, enjoy it. If it's one fight, enjoy it. And I'm pretty sure, I always say that you are in my top 3 Canadian boxers that I think can become a world champion soon. I have Kim Clavel and Mary Spencer, and I have you, because I think you are the one on the best path right now to access title shots fast. So I wish you all that, if that's what you want.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Have a